experience. So these come from our own personal experience as well as our client experiences. So if there's different opinions out there, amazing, let's chat it out. We'd love to hear ideas, but these are the things that have worked for us and our clients, and we just want to share the knowledge as much as possible. That's what we're here for. So our contact information is here. If you ever want to reach out afterwards, we're absolutely open to taking lots of random questions, as long as you guys are open to hear some random answers. So contact us anytime. So we're looking at the planning phase. So when we're looking at really launching or even wanting to do a virtual event, we have to sort of look at how we're going to plan that out. So one of the things to decide is, what type of virtual event do you want to do? There's tons of them out there. So we have webinars and summits and conferences, networking, speed networking, interviews, all these different types of events. There's also different platforms that actually lend well to each of these types of events, which we'll kind of go over as well. So live shows, if you want to go Facebook Live or Instagram Live or even YouTube or LinkedIn, those things are available too, as well as Twitter. Workshops, trainings, product launches, that you can launch a product as, like if you're doing a brand new service or a brand new product, you can launch them online as well now. So we used to be able to like bring everyone into like a location and have everyone have like, you know, hors d'oeuvres and drinks and do the big launch of your product or service, but now it's a little bit different. So we can take those principles and just move these things online instead. There's mastermind groups and courses as well. So there's probably a few more. If you guys have some more ideas, collaborate at the end. Let's see if we can add some more stuff in here. And you have to decide whether you're going to be live right then and there, or it's going to be pre-recorded. There's different benefits to each. If it's going to be free or if it's going to be paid. So is it like an educational thing, or do you want to make some cash off this and use it as a business ploy? What's your call to action, or is it going to be info only? How long will this session be? So it totally depends on what type of thing you're running. You have to decide the duration of how long this will take. So ours today is an hour and a half. I've seen some webinars run for 20 minutes and there's a call to action at the end to try and get you into like a $5,000 course. But we're not going to do that today. So the next thing you have to sort of plan is my event even worth attending? If you're not sure, ask around. You can do a survey to people that you think are your actual target market. Before you just put an online event together, you want to make sure that the topic is valuable for people and they really are going to solve an issue, or you want to educate them on something. So you need to have a good reason for people to attend, a good speaker, possibly depending on how you want to do it, if it's yourself or if you're doing like a Q&A type of thing, or maybe you are interviewing somebody else, or maybe you're being interviewed as well. You have engaging content, so make sure you do all that before you start to promote anything. So some people, what they do is they just go, I have an idea, everyone needs to hear this. Boom, it's marketed, it's out there, and then you don't really get anybody interested. There's a lot of factors that it could be. Maybe the marketing's not correct, maybe the messaging isn't correct, maybe where you're marketing isn't correct, who you're marketing to. There's lots of different factors, so just make sure that the actual topic is something that is you want to talk about, and you know how to talk about it, and it's interesting to the end user. Typically, what they say is, I mean the internet, best time of day to host an event. So I think nowadays it's kind of up in the air. So there's going to be your audience, maybe some of your audience is 6 o'clock at night, maybe some of your audience is 8 o'clock at night, maybe it's 7:30 in the morning. It kind of depends, but typically what they say is don't mess with people's lunch hour. Either 11 o'clock, 1 or 2 might be the best time frames to start. And then you can see how it's going. Maybe you're getting less attendance. Just do some testing. So you can do like A/B testing, the exact same everything, but 2 different times, and see what works best. And here comes the technology phase. So you planned it all out. You have a great topic. You have really engaging marketing tactics, you have lots of cool stuff happening, and now you have to think about, how am I going to even run this thing in the first place? So here's a technology phase around that. So if you're going to be doing an event and you want to collect like registrations, there's different ones that you could do. I think this one was on Zoom. Zoom has its own registration link. So you guys went on there, registered on Zoom, and you got the update. You can put it right into your calendar, and you also can get a reminder right beforehand. So if you want to create spot for people to register, here's a couple ideas. You can create a brand new website or landing page if you'd like. There's ways to optimize that, which Miriam will get into. You could also embed a form for registrations. It depends on if you're going to collect money or if it's going to be free as well. So if it's going to be a landing page on your website, you have to have some sort of payment gateway if you're going to be collecting money. Zoom, it's mostly for free events. Miriam might have a different opinion on that. We'll check in with her about that as well. Eventbrite is a fantastic platform to collect money. They take a small fee as well, but it's definitely great for free and paid events. Facebook events on your business page is great for free or paid because it actually integrates with Eventbrite. So if you have an Eventbrite link and you also have a Facebook event, the benefit of a Facebook event, so I would say always have an event on your Facebook page every single time you're going to do any event. What does is any single person that's in a geographic area or your friends list, they can actually see when you've clicked on going or interested. And so the more eyeballs that see this event, the more you can have it, quote unquote, go viral. Not that your event's going to go viral, but the more people that see it, the easier it is for people to sign up, especially if it's a topic that's really interesting to people. So Facebook events are a must. You always should have a Facebook event on your business page every single time that you have an event. Then people can RSVP there. They can pay through the Eventbrite link. They can RSVP on Eventbrite, but it shows up on Facebook that they've RSVP'd. And Google Forms is another option. So if you really want that super low tech, really easy to sign up, Google Forms might be a great one for you to investigate it. So these blue things right here are actually links. So it'll go right to the platform. I think Miriam is going to be sending this around or posting on her website as well. Yeah, so we have this video as well as the actual presentation that's going to be on her website, and she'll send that link around later. So all of these are hyperlinks, so you can just go right to it and check it out for yourself. And here comes the hosting phase. So you planned it all out. You've decided what platform you're going to use based on the type of event that you're doing. The registration part is the first part to think about, and then you have to think, well, how am I going to even run this thing in the first place? First thing you have to do when you're like, okay, I'm ready to run this thing, you have to decide to if you're going to do video. So if you're going to do video, you want to go over a couple of checklists here. You want to have the proper lighting. So there's these ring lights that you can buy. There's these clip-on lights that you can buy. Sometimes you can even use your camera and you can put the flashlight on your camera. A little bit blinding, I'm not going to lie, I've tried it. Learn from me, please. You want to choose the background. So do you want like a green screen like Miriam has, which is like on Zoom, for instance, you can change your background. So you can have your background be something that's not your real room. For me, for instance, I would prefer to have this as my background because it's kind of interesting. You see a couple owls, you see a couple things that if you don't want to look directly into my face the entire time, you can look around and still listen at the same time. Check your audio, make sure that it's decent and that your platforms are working properly, and your camera height. So one of the things that people tend to do is not really think about their camera height. So a lot of times I've been on a lot of Zoom calls recently, especially, and I've seen some calls where it's literally just looking straight up at two chins and up the nose. And the whole time I'm thinking, that's a very interesting angle. Just make sure your camera height is either right at your eyes or it's looking down at you would be the best. And you want to look at these different types of platforms. So there's lots of different platforms out there. You guys might know some as well. Please let us know at the end if you have some other ideas that we could possibly add to this presentation. We've all been testing out the waters right now and seeing how we can do our normal day, but switch it to online. And I've always been an online company, so for us, it hasn't really changed too much. I don't really meet a lot of people in person. We do a lot of video chat anyway, so this is not really that new for us. But these platforms are available to us. Some cost money, some are freemiums, and then you can pay for different upgrades. Zoom is one of them. So Zoom is great for live events. If you want to do, just like today, this is a live event, you could pre-record something and run it as well. So you could just record your screen, have it playing. You can share your screen, and your screen will be playing. Registrations, it's fantastic to collect RSVPs. You can do really great live Q&As. So this is a great platform, as well as, you know, the other social platforms, for instance, which we'll go into. But Zoom is actually a pretty decent one to do like a live Q&A. So let's pretend like Mary and I were asking questions back and forth, and it's a collaborative Q&A where it's like an interviewer, or we could just open it up all together and you guys just ask us a million questions. So it depends on how you want to run it and what type of event you want to do. And it's obviously great for sharing your screen too. Cisco WebEx is another one that's pretty decent. I don't use it as often. I definitely use Zoom or Remo a little bit more, but Cisco WebEx is apparently great. It has live events. I believe you can record them. I believe you can take registrations on them, and you can definitely share a screen. So it's very similar to Zoom. There was a lot of conversation at the very beginning of when everything was shutting down for Zoom and how it was getting hacked and random people were coming on to your calls. I think they fixed those issues. WebEx was quote unquote the more secure IT type of platform, but I think Zoom has redeemed themselves, so I think they're pretty good. One of the things also you can do is just go live on social. You know, if you want to have a live event and you want to do the Q&A from the audience, there's definitely a way to do that and make sure you're prepped ahead of time and you're not just waiting for people to ask questions that may not be there. So there's a way that you can pre-do that. Just make sure you have some prepped questions ahead of time, and you can kind of pretend if you go live on Facebook or Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter, there's ways that you can just, you know, prep yourself ahead of time. Remo is one of those platforms that not a lot of people know about, but Remo, when I first started using it, it was, I believe it was around Christmas time, and we did an online global Christmas party. And we had people from literally all over the world, totally different time zones, and we had a Christmas party where it was like BYOB, so bring your own booze, bring your own food. It was kind of cool and fun, but it was a glitchy. So they have definitely redeemed themselves since then. It was in beta at the time, and nobody could get in. We had over 300 people that signed up, and 35 people could get in. It was brutal. So test some stuff out ahead of time, which we'll talk about in bold. Remo, though, is fantastic. So what this is, it almost looks like if you've ever gone to like a gala, right? So you have all these different tables that have, you know, 10 people around each table. There's a panel that you can talk to. There's a presenter that can present to the group. So what happens is once the presenter's finished, it can actually, like, you can speed network within your table that you're sitting at, and then you can jump tables. It's really, really cool. I highly recommend checking it out. It does cost money. So it's great for live networking, speed networking, panel discussions, breakout sessions. So on the side, so when you visually see Remo, it's a bunch of tables, literally, there's floors. And then there's some sidebars here, which are breakout session rooms that can actually be sponsored by whoever. If you're doing a large event, you can get sponsored by people. So you can have showcase opportunities within those breakout sessions. So let's say you have 3 sponsors, there's 3 breakout rooms, and the sponsor wants to do a presentation as well. So you can take that and everyone can go into those breakout sessions and do a presentation. So it's really collaborative. It's a pretty cool platform. I've never seen anything like it. I know you can do breakout sessions in Zoom, but there's not an opportunity to really to have sponsor showcases. Unless you tell me differently, which I'm all ears, so let me know. Always have a backup plan. I'm telling you, tech issues are gonna happen. It's okay. But if you've done a lot of marketing, a lot of planning, a lot of back work, and there's a stupid tech issue that's going to make it all fail, have a backup plan. It's like having, like, I'm going to yoga in the lavender fields, for instance, and they have a rain day. That's what people do. They have a backup plan at every single time. Make sure that you do as well. Test everything out. I can't say that enough, and I want to put it on every single slide. Test everything out before your event to make sure that it's working properly or your lighting is set up properly. Ask a friend to test with you. Just make sure you test it ahead of time, because there's nothing worse than 5 minutes before everything crashes and you have no idea what to do. If you can, have a co-host. Doesn't matter what type of event you have, even if it's just a webinar or if it's just a Q&A, it doesn't matter. Have a co-host that will help vet and organize questions for you. So that's what Miriam are doing as well. So when it's my turn to talk, she'll help vet all the questions. When it's her turn to talk, I'll help vet all the questions. And at the end, we can actually have a great plan to answer you back. And it's also a great idea to have like a fake person, like a co-host, like a friend that might be able to ask you those fake questions ahead of time. So you can give them the questions and say, you know, if no one's asking questions on this live Q&A, can you please ask them? Because we've had to do that for some clients that just nobody was interested, or if it was that time of day. And so we actually were able to tape it though and use it as content in the future for social media. So it wasn't a total bust, but we had to make sure we had a backup plan for sure. All right, here comes the marketing phase. So we planned it all out. We have all the technology in place. We have tested everything out like over and over and over. And now we have a marketing phase. Now what do we do? So you have all this great stuff, but how do you get people to join and to RSVP and to register? So no one will come if you don't market it. If you never tell anybody about like your different events that you have coming up, no one's going to come. You might get some stragglers out if you do like a Facebook event or an Eventbrite event. But you want to make sure you take some steps. There's checklists here just to make sure that you market effectively. So there's a couple essentials that you really want to do. And like I said, you guys will get this presentation. You can take pictures if you'd like, just so it's ingrained in your brain. These are the basic essential steps to market your event. So if you don't know what a hashtag is, no problem. Ask us at the end. We'll definitely describe it for you. So if it's a larger event that you want to be able to monitor people posting pictures or selfies of themselves saying, I just attended this great event, or I'm currently at this, attending it now, they can use a specific hashtag. For webinars and for maybe a little bit of a smaller event, you might not need a hashtag. But if you're going to be doing like a summit or a bigger seminar, definitely create a hashtag and you can monitor it on social media. You want to post it on social media and ask people to share. So beforehand, you definitely want to utilize, if you have speakers, if you have friends and family, if you anybody you can possibly ask to share this, please ask them to share. You can send them the Eventbrite link, a Zoom link, a Facebook event link, just to get people talking about it. You want to send it to your email database. If you don't have an email database, today is your day to start an email database, because that is gold. Your email database signifies to me that these people that signed up for this were interested in something from you at some point at any time in your entire career. So people that are interested in you and what you have to sell, or even who you are in general, the email database is something where you can do drip campaigns, or you can upsell, or you can do surveys, ask them questions. Email database is definitely gold. And if you don't have one, can you please start one and ask us later if you have any questions about what do I do with my email database? Create a Facebook event. So that's why I said this one is really important, because Facebook actually has its own search for events. So if you're interested in going to an event, maybe you're just like, I wonder what's happening this weekend, or I wonder if some cool stuff's happening. So I know because on July 22nd is DMX versus Snoop Dogg, and it's a virtual event, and I'm obsessed and I can't wait to go. But I didn't know that until I started searching on Facebook all the events that are coming up this week. And so if I didn't search for that, I would never have found it. And it goes based on interest, it goes based on your geographic location and who your friends are that also have signed up for that event or RSVP to it. Then you want to post it to online community bulletins and calendars. This is the part that actually gets missed a lot. So we do marketing for Toronto Rib Fest, we do marketing for Taste the Kingsway, we do for a couple of different smaller events like Santa Claus Day parades. that online community bulletin, there's tons of them out there. Snapped has one, Narcity, BlogTO, Toronto.com. There's tons and tons and tons, and there's a lot in York Region actually. So if you can post on those online community bulletins, they're all free, but they all have better searches than you do. So if your event is on their listings, they have the opportunity to showcase your event. They will send it out an email, depending on if they have an email database. But it's a huge opportunity that people definitely miss. That is, to me, should be the number one thing, but they all go into a sequence right now. So once you have everything ready, you post it onto the online community bulletins and calendars, and they're all free. Now a hashtag. So what is a hashtag? A hashtag is the number sign. If anyone knows all those the older phones, that home phones is what they used to call it, home phones. You have a number sign. So this number sign, as soon as it's attached to a word on like Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, it becomes a linkable, hyperlinked term now that is searched, that you can search it. So let's say you're at an event like Toronto Rib Fest. It would be hashtag Toronto Rib Fest or TO Rib Fest 2020 or something like that, depending on how you want to be remembered. And then if you are at the event, you would post a picture and use that specific hashtag so that everyone else that would be able to search for that hashtag will see that you're there as well. We'll see all the different posts that have come from that specific event, as well as anybody that's posted with that one hashtag as well. So you want to make sure it aligns with your event. It has to stand out. So it can't be very complicated. Make it short and sweet. Make it memorable. So you want to make sure that it's actually posted everywhere as well. So if it's unique enough and it stands out, it's going to align with your event anyway. So if you are going to search on Twitter or Instagram or any other platform, technically you can use hashtags on every platform. If you have decided this is my hashtag and this is what I love, make sure you do a search ahead of time, because we have gotten into trouble before. We took over event for their marketing, and we noticed that the hashtag that they were actually using was some sort of really bad. It was someone else was using it for other reasons, and they didn't realize that. So when we came on board, we did a search, and we were like, "Oh, do you really want to be associated with this platform, like these people?" And they didn't, obviously, and so we actually had to change the hashtag in order to align. But now that's part of your brand. That's part of your entire business model when you're wanting to promote your events. So you want to use it on every single post so that it becomes like a tagline. It becomes that identifier that, like for the East Gwillimbury Farm to Fork, for instance, it's e.g. Farm to Fork is the hashtag, so that people understand that when they do the tour or when they go and check this place out, if it's in the window, if the hashtag is here, you can actually take a picture, use that hashtag, and now we can find you and use your pictures and share them on social media. Other ideas, and this is more of a checklist, tons of ideas that you can use to market this event even further, depending on what you want to do and how comfortable you are with marketing. You want to add the event link to your email signature. So you all hopefully have an email signature that's branded for your business, and then you can add that, like attend our next event or check out our next summit type of thing. And it can link over to whichever one you want to take RSVPs for. Create an Eventbrite, whether you're using it for registrations or not. If people start to register on there and that's not really where you wanted them to register, you just send them an email, because you'll collect email addresses, and just let them know that they have to pay here or they have to go here in order to do that. Share the event on LinkedIn and Facebook groups that are relevant to your audience. Facebook groups are really the only way that you can really reach the consumer or the end user or a regular person on Facebook, so without paying for ads. So share it into groups. Check Meetup groups. If you guys ever heard of this thing called Meetup, if you haven't, just search Meetup groups and see if there's any groups there that actually have the same members in it that you would be interested in targeting. And ask the group organizer if they'd be interested. If it's a paid event, maybe you can ask them, you can say, I'll give you a couple free tickets if you help market this to your group. I think it'd be beneficial for your people to learn this or to attend, and you can offer incentives. You can run a contest, so something like on social media, you know, who would you bring with you type of thing. Tag the person that you'd bring with you to this event, and the more eyeballs on it, the more people will be able to see your event, and hopefully they RSVP. Leverage event sponsors and speakers. So one of the things that we do for like Taste of the Kingsway or Toronto Rip Fest or any of like the crafts, the art events that we do, we create a really easy package for people. So you can say, I'm a sponsor, like create an image in like Canva. I'm a sponsor at this event. Come see me at booth number, blah, blah, blah. So you create all these things for your sponsors and your speakers to make it as easy as possible for them to share. Because I guarantee if you just ask people to share, you're like, hey, I'm having an event. Can you share it? They're like, share what? What do you want me to do? So if you can send them a link or something where it's really easy for them to amplify that message, the better chances you'll have that they'll actually do it. Reach out to some strategic partners and ask them to share as well. You guys all know people. Let's ask them to help share. Again, make it easy for them. Treat your attendees as collaborators and ask them to share once they've registered. So you can incentivize them as well. So you can say, you know, if you thank you for registering. If you wouldn't mind sharing this to your audience, here's a coupon code. I'll give you $3 or $5 every time someone signs up that use your coupon code. There's different ways to do it, but if you can just ask them to share, they're not going to do it by themselves. It's just human nature, kind of to have to ask someone. And consider offering incentives like early bird pricing. I think all of you guys have signed up to something because it was cheaper. You know, if you signed up within a couple of days and you're like, oh, I need to sign up now, even though it might not be something you want to attend, but it's cheaper now, so you got to do it. So it is our human nature to want to sign up to something on an early bird pricing. If you're comfortable doing that, definitely sign up. If you want, offer it, I mean. If you want to offer something like a contest or anything like that, that's also an option. So if you're going to be designing your marketing materials yourself, definitely, if you haven't heard of Canva before, I should definitely have stocks in this company because I talk about it all the time. Canva is my boyfriend, basically. I love it so much, and I think that it's a platform that anybody can use. You can either start from scratch and create flyers and cover images for your Eventbrite or your Facebook pages. It creates shareable images that you can send to your sponsors and speakers, social media posts and stories for like Instagram and Facebook. But Canva is a fantastic graphic design tool, and you do not have to be a graphic designer. It's already done for you. You just have to put in your own content and your own colors and your logo and stuff like that. So it's super easy to use, and I highly, highly recommend it. There's probably top notch. 2 words on my side: if you are going to be doing an event, just be proactive. So any way that you can think of to market this event on top of this checklist that we've provided, we want to hear it. So you can email us or send us a message on social. If you're being proactive with your marketing tactics, that goes over for all marketing tactics, not just for events. Be proactive. If you post and wait, you're gonna not be as successful as if you were to go and be proactive with your marketing efforts. So I just grabbed this really random quote. I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sails to always reach my destination. And what that means to me is, I know we're in some strange times right now. Some of us are used to running some in-person events, but if you can see the difference here, you're actually noticing that my in-person events can be translated to online platforms fairly easily. And a lot of these marketing tactics actually are relevant for both, so in-person and online. So even if these online events start to dwindle and you come back to the in-person events, use this checklist, use these methodologies behind it, because they're definitely still relevant, okay? We're going to get into Miriam's part now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen if Miriam will start sharing her screen.
All right, so let's get started. Give me a quick second. Here we go. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so Holly, that was everything that you said. It's just absolutely spot on. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some of the stuff, and then I'm going to actually show you how it's done as well. And what I wanted to tell you to start with is that when we talk about search engine optimization, it sounds terrifying and intimidating because you always feel like, well, what is this? What is it that you're talking about? Is it more on the coding side? I don't know how to code. How do I use these particular words? Where do I put them? I'm going to break it down and make it look as simple as possible. And it's just some good practices that over in a long period of time, it will help you learn that this is what works along the way for your for your optimization. So let's get started. When you have a webinar, you want to get the right group of people. That's pretty much what you want to do. Whether you're getting them to pay for the webinar, to attend the webinar, or it's a free webinar and you're eventually going to send them emails or connect with them to upsell your products and services, or just create an atmosphere of people that think of you as a thought leader. You need the right group of people. Having a bunch of marketers listening to me and Holly may or may not work for us because they pretty much know exactly what it is that we're talking about. So it really doesn't make sense to, target them, unless if we have something that they don't know anything about. But we targeted the right group of people that wanted to learn more about what we have to offer. So let's get started. The number one thing that you need to think about is that optimization, it means that you're going to increase the quantity and the quality of the traffic that comes to your website. That means you don't want robots to hit, or fake individuals to hit your website or hit your webinar page. You want people that are 100% ready to attend your event and find you intriguing or find your event intriguing to be the ones that connect with you. So if you follow the SEO practices that we're suggesting, that will happen because you are going to rank for the relevant words that describe the services and the products that you want to host on your webinar. So the first thing that you got to think about is a key phrase research. So what's a key phrase research? In our industry, we have two things, which is keyword and key phrase. A keyword could be the word webinar, but the word webinar by itself doesn't mean anything because I host about 50 webinars a month. So does Holly. But if I use the word webinar, I'm not selling the product that I'm trying to, the service that I'm trying to sell through. What I'm trying to sell through is a webinar about running an effective webinar, or a webinar about crowdfunding, or a webinar about video design. So I need to turn it from just a word, which is webinar, a keyword, into a phrase. A phrase, it consists of 3 words to 5 words. So if I'm saying I'm running how to run an effective virtual webinar, now I'm promoting exactly what I want to say, and it's in a phrase. So if someone's looking for anything similar to that, I will pop up. So key phrase is your number one thing. You want to make sure that you put in a key phrase when you want to advertise your landing page. So how do we do that? Before you start prepping for your webinar, you need to look for these key phrases. So let's say we're coming up with an idea to host this particular webinar. I need to know what key phrases work, but I don't know what key phrases work for my industry. How do I find out? How do I know other people have done this webinar and it was a success or it wasn't? How do I know how many people are actually looking for this word? Well, it's easy. You go to Google Trend and you put the word in. Google Trend will tell you, well, the word webinar software or a webinar platform or a webinars US or webinars Canada have X amount of number of searches for them. So based on that, now you know that 3 of the words in my key phrase have a high number of ranking in the searches. So now if I add the other 2 pieces, which is effective, learn how to run an effective webinar, now what I'm doing is I'm creating a complete key phrase that's going to bring me higher up on the ranking. So Google Trend is your number one friend when you want to look for key phrases. Once you conduct your key phrase research, now I always suggest to have a dedicated set of key phrases. Let's take this presentation as a whole. So Holly had 20 slides. On her 20 slides, she wanted to talk about 20 points, which was social media, which was different types of platforms that you can use, which was, different strategies that you can use. So in each one of those slides, she had multiple words that she was going to use. So she can take all of those words, and that would be her portion of her webinar. And as she suggested, it's a good idea to have a co-host, because now I have series of words that I want to use to talk about my webinar in my presentation. So now we have two sets of words that we can combine and turn it into a cluster of key phrases. Why is that important? Because if I'm promoting the webinar on my behalf on Facebook, I can talk about what my strengths are, which are these key phrases. And I can mirror that on all the pages that I'm advertising or I'm talking about, or the pages that I'm creating. And Holly can do the same thing. So now our webinar goes from having 2 people registered to 16 people that register, or 30 people that register, because now people that are looking for the social media aspect of it, they're looking at Holly's words, and the ones that are looking for the optimization aspect of it, they're looking at my word. So key phrases are very important to your to your webinar presentation. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me afterwards as well. And if you have anything that you've done in the past and it made sense, as Holly said, we are always available to talk about it. Now, optimizing landing page is super important. Why? Because here, let me show you something. My apologies. Let me go back to here. Okay, so for this webinar, what we've done is we've created multiple landing pages. One was on Zoom. So I created this page, and it has a picture that has my key phrases in there, what you need to run an effective virtual class. I also repeated it in the topic, and I made sure that I have some of those words in the description, okay? So by using this registration form, and it's part of Zoom, and Zoom gets tons of traffic, the chances of my webinar coming higher up on the page ranking is quite high now, because I'm using a platform that has tons of traffic as is. And I am now one of the people that have set up a registration page on it. But one of the things that I did also is I've created a page off of our existing website, and I call it resources. So under the resources section, I created a page called effective, what you need to run an effective virtual class, which is right here. And I have added the presentation in there as well. And I put in some of Holly's points. I have proper pictures in there and the company that we're thanking. And once we're done, the video that I'm recording right now, I'm going to place it right here in the middle between the download button and the title. So this landing page now, so now I have 2 landing pages, and it's a simple, very, very simple page. It has the title, which we call this H1, which means heading 1. It has a button with a pretty color on it, and it stands out where the PDF is on, right here. This is, oh, my apologies. Why is it doing that? I'll fix that. And then it has the description of what the key phrase is that Holly has put together for this presentation, okay? In addition to that, so that's 2 pages. We've also done an event on Facebook page, right? So we have an event page on our Facebook fan page, and that's our 3rd landing page. Again, it has the heading, heading 1, and it has a little bit of detail of what it's about. Where is it? It's here. It's a little bit of detail about what it's about, and the people that have suggested that they want to come on it. Now, the reason we did this is because we knew that we need to create it for landing page purposes only. Because we knew that most of our traffic most of the people that are going to register are going to come from our Zoom registration page. And it really didn't matter to us if we would love it if we get a lot of people on Facebook, but we knew that most people will come from our Zoom registration page. So those are best practices of creating a proper landing page. And they're very simple. So what happens is now that I created this page, right, and it has all this information, what would happen is when my page loads up, it will have the name of the event, the name of the company, and the cluster key phrases of my upcoming event, and a bit of a description that I showed you, plus the link to my website or to the Zoom call that we have set, the Zoom registration that we have set up. As I showed you on our event, we had few items. One was a title, which I'm going to show it to you again. Here we go. This was the main title. This is the heading 1. My apologies. This wasn't the heading 1. This is the heading 2. Should have scrolled up. This is heading 1. This is our heading 2, as it said here. And then we have body copy. This is the content that we have put here, right? And I'm going to actually show you another one that has everything, because I don't have the video in here already, but I'll show you this one that has everything in it already. Give me a second. So this is another one we just did a couple days ago, back in July 13th. So this one has a heading 1. Then it has a heading 2. It has the video of the presentation. It has the download button that takes you to the actual presentation, to the PowerPoint presentation. And this is important because your presentation that you're creating, if you turn it into a PDF, that's good content, and it will increase your traffic to your website, because if someone's looking for it, your site will come up. And it also has a body copy. This is the copy that we wrote about the event, and it has the link, the call to action, as we call it, or CTA. So this is our call to action. And then at the bottom, if you want, you can ask them to register for your newsletter, and then again, you can send them the presentation as well. So this is the internal links and the unpaged copy, H2, H3 headings, and that's heading 3 is called H3 heading, and then the H1. Okay. Now, this is a really important one as well. Is body copy still important as you? We'll answer all the questions. Yes. Holly, you got chat, right? Awesome. Okay. So utilizing Google My Business. When we were putting this presentation together, Holly and I talked about, I said, I'm going to cover the SEO piece. And she said, oh, absolutely. And she said, do you use Google My Business part? And I was like, yeah, we do for some of the things that we promote. And then I realized we should put that in there because this is really important. So Google My Business is this. Okay. This is Google My Business. You see what's happening here? This is from my Google My Business. Okay, this piece. So now if I go into the back end of this, that's when I can add in a really cool feature that they have called events. So by using that, and in addition to that, I can actually upload my presentation in there as well. The PDF presentation that I have on my website, I can upload that as well as content. Why is that important? Well, because tons of people will look for me on the map, and tons of people will look for your business on the map, and less will look for you by actually putting the URL of your website. So unless I have a third company, which in this point was York Region Small Business Enterprise, promoting the event, or Holly that promotes the event, or I that I promote the event, if we don't have the third parties that promote the event, I would have to rely on another source of traffic to see this upcoming event. And Google My Business will be a great platform because a lot of people would look for things off of the map. And if my events are listed under my company and they'll see that, hey, wait a minute, she has a webinar coming up. I'm going to go see what this is about because I want to learn more about marketing because of what's happening out there and because I want to grow my business. So it's a really good platform to use and it's for free. So advertising through it is absolutely free. Now, in order to get started, you will need to create an event. And once you create an event, you want to optimize that event title. So if you notice, I'm going to show you something again here. So this is the crowdfunding webinar we had. See, crowdfunding and how to make it work for you is the title that we have here. The description is exactly what we have on our website. The description here is the exact same thing we have on our YouTube. The title up here is the exact same title that we have on our YouTube. If you go back here and you look at events and past events, why can't I see the event? Oh, last 7 days. Oh, wait a minute. It doesn't show me all the past events. Anyways, the other past, if I go back here and I look at the past event that was for crowdfunding, it had the exact same title as this. And it has the exact same title as the PDF presentation. And the exact same title as the Zoom event that we had for it. So having the exact same title on the Google My Business event, it will also mirror the same across all platforms. And then what will happen is it will be easier for people to find you. And if they are looking for it and search engines are looking for it, people are looking for it through the search engine, it will increases the amount of the ranking that you get. You want to have the right time and date. We just found out that one of the events that we have on the 27th, we have it on completely different times on 4 different platforms. So because I partnered with someone else and he thought it was 5 to 7, he posted it as 5 to 7 on his Facebook. And then I posted it at 10 to 11 on Zoom. And for some reason, there was a third party that was advertising it for us, and they put it at 7 to 8 p.m. at their platform. So you want to make sure that you look at every timing and make sure that it's done properly. If you notice here, I'm going to show you this again. For this event that we had, we put together a really cute video to promote it. And this video was not that short. It's like 30 seconds, but it's compelling. It says, join our webinar. We're going to be talking about and what time it is and what date it is. We're going to talk about crowdfunding and how it may work for you. And it talked about, it's presented by York Small Business Enterprise Center, digital marketing experts, and Fortune Funding. And register today is our call to action that we suggested. So you want to make sure that you have pretty pictures, consistent throughout all platforms, and a video if you can to promote the event. You want to have a description and have the relevant keywords and key phrases in there. Key phrases is the main thing because those are the words that people will use to look for you. And you want to link your registration page and your Google Analytics if you have it. And if you don't have it, it's fine. You want to link your registration page so you can track how many people have registered for your event. And what I also like to do is, and this, we didn't do it for this particular one, but in general, it's a good idea to, when you, after you connect with them, to kind of find out where they come from. Did they come from your Facebook, or did they come from your, you know, the information that they saw on Wisebeck's website, or the information they saw on YouTube? How did they get to you? Because that tells you next time you're promoting your event, which platform works for you best. So when you finish creating your ad on Google My Business, this is what it would look like. And when you want them to sign up, you put the sign up button at the bottom, and that takes them to the registration page. And off of the registration page, you can register and have all the details emailed to them as well. Because with Zoom, you get an email that you registered for this event, You get the same thing from Google My Business as well. Now, embed your on-demand webinar. So right now, this webinar is live. So I'm recording it. Once it's done, what I usually like to do is I embed it into the website, because there's tons of people that didn't make it on time, or they have a question, or they really liked the presentation and they thought, you know what, I'm going to watch it again because I think this is going to help me. When the link is there, they can actually go right ahead and look at the entire presentation again. It's also really good content, and it gives you credibility, because if you already finished the webinar and you have the link available, you're pretty much telling people that I'm always available for you. And if you can't reach me at, like, 3 in the morning when a brilliant idea has come into your mind, watch the video. Maybe that would give you an idea of how to take it to the next level. So I personally like to optimize the video, which means if you see, even the title of this video matches the title of every of the presentation. And as I showed you, the description also matches what we already had into our presentation. And finally, you want to make sure that your video has that it shows up on the page ranking because of the rich results that are in it. So what does that mean? Rich results are usually information that we put in the back end of a video. So when I upload the video, there is the description, the title, the description, and the key tags. And I always want to make sure that I have all those fields filled in completely, so that I can come up higher up as much as possible on the ranking as well. So you want to make sure that that's done for this particular, for your videos that you set up for on-demand. So rich results usually sit on the coveted position O, which means that it sits above the traditional text result in the search engines. And when your webinar, because you're recording the video, and video is rich content as is, you will always get the higher position on the ranking. So it will be always you. The people that are on the people that have ads, then it's you, then people that are on the map, and then everybody else that comes up organically. And does it make sense to buy ads for your webinar? Absolutely. However, if you can get it done organically where you don't have to pay for the ads, what ends up happening is you get in a habit of creating rich content and creating good webinars and creating good landing pages, and it becomes embedded into you. And when you do that, then your site will eventually keep coming up higher and higher and higher on the search ranking anyways. And if you want to boost a couple of your upcoming events in a post, or if you want to buy an ad around it, go for it. It only will enhances what you're currently doing anyways. So good content is super important. As you can see, sorry, I just looked at the chat that's going on right now, and I love it. So as you can see, good content is super, super, super important. If this wasn't a good presentation, none of you would have been here. And if this presentation didn't cover the questions that you have, none of you would have stayed as long as you have throughout this presentation. So good content means that you have to come up with an idea that it's on everyone's mind. It's a question that's being asked. And I don't mean that it has to be a question that nobody else had come up with the idea of answering. No. There's tons of people out there that do exactly what we do. But the difference between Holly and I and everybody else is that everything we thought about and everything that we've done and everything that has worked, we put it out there. We're not afraid of sharing our data and information and our mistakes and our winnings and everything, the weakness and the strengths that we have with everybody else. So what we're sharing with you is what we've done, and it's working. So we're putting it out there. And this is, to us, is good content, because there's tons of people out there like you that want to know, well, how is this done? I've never thought of the SEO part of a webinar, or I've never thought of putting, using anything other than Zoom, like Holly suggested. So it's important to have good content for your webinar. And as the body content for your website once you're done with your webinar. So that's all I have for you. I'm going to unmute everyone and feel free to ask questions. I see Holly's been answering tons of good questions. Let me, how do I do this? Hold on. Oh, here we go.
So one of the questions that came up is body copy still important in SEO?
100%. So what usually happens is when you have a page set up, the bots go and scan your entire page. So if someone has looked for the word successful webinar or an effective virtual class, and you have that word in the body of your the content body of your site, you'll come higher up. And that's exactly what you want to do. And down the line, what ends up happening also is that that content becomes grandfathered onto your website, and more things are grandfathered on your website, higher you come up, because you've had that information much longer and bots have hit them a lot more over the past X amount of years that it's been on your website. That's a good question. How did you hear about this webinar? Yeah, can a couple of you share, how did you hear about this webinar?
Can everybody find the chat?
Ah, Wiseback.
That's first and foremost.
Wiseback, amazing. Thanks, Thelma. We are very lucky and fortunate that Wiseback has given us this opportunity to host. We have 11 webinars, and we're actually, we finished 4, and we're just continuing on until the end of September, I think, or October. So we have tons coming up. Feel free to check out Wiseback and join the remaining webinars that we have as well. So we're very thankful and fortunate that they were so lovely to us. Spam email, not sure from who. Might be Create Waterloo. Oh, wow. Great. That's good. Oh, Wiseback, amazing.
Any questions from your end?
Backed. Oh, what is backed?
Googling.
That is so cool. What is it, Holly? Business Advisory Council of Durham. Very cool. Oh, Katerina, that's awesome. Yeah, we're going to hit them up and be like, we have more presentations, guys. Amazing. So everything's going to be on the website. We usually send out an email at the end of our presentations with the links to the website and the presentation. I'm literally going to be uploading it very soon. So how do you handle security in web classes? Peter, there's a reason I'm here. Oh, yes. Okay. So I was just talking to, I had a chat with Scotiabank a couple days ago for their female entrepreneur program that they have, and they were suggesting that, so Zoom has tons of security issues, and it's not a hidden problem. Everybody knows about it. So a couple of suggestions that had been brought up by Scotiabank was that should we use TeamViewer by Microsoft and then send out the link for people to come in, because you don't have to have TeamViewer in order for you to use TeamViewer. It becomes a web browser and you can just click on it and it's done. I think Holly had a couple of good questions, really good suggestions that I would definitely go with them. And the other thing is Dual. Google Dual is also a really good webinar to run, webinar platform to run, because you can do the video. I have not personally used it at the same level that I've done Zoom and TeamViewer. But again, I mean, like, there are tons of platforms out there. You got to see what works for you. And if I were you, as Holly suggested, test it out. Like, do a fake event, invite a couple of friends. I did a fake event last night from my phone. I was like trying to test it, see if I can share my screen through Zoom off of my phone and test it and see what works. And the other thing is, if you have to pay for it, I would have a problem with it because there's a lot of free tools that are out there that will have a higher security than, I mean, even with Zoom, like this one, we set up a password with it, and I think it worked out well.
There's also Google Hangouts that you could try. So Google Hangouts, when you have a Gmail account, when you go to create an event in Google Hangouts, or sorry, in your calendar on Gmail, it automatically picks up Google Hangouts as the platform to start the actual, conversation with.
How
So instead of
secure
doing
is it?
like, what's that?
How secure is it?
So because you're able to use your browser instead of opening up a platform, I believe it's more secure. I can't guarantee anything because on a marketing side, we can advise, but we can't actually say one or the other. It's just our experiences, unfortunately. So
No, I recognize that, but how have you heard it being hacked? Zoom is horrible.
yeah, so I've heard,
Zoom gets random penises in conversations, which I can't have in a children's theater company.
Yes.
My wife was the chair of the Japanese National Speech Contest in Canada, and they were randomly penisified. Oh,
yeah,
joy.
we have been
Um,
as well.
what about have you experienced this in Hangouts at all?
Never.
Because it is a decent platform and it is free, but I'm more curious about the security personally.
Yeah, let me do a little bit more research on that just to double check. I do have a lot of like agencies that I work with that use it, and some people are saying like they still have issues with it. I know a lot of the schools use, what was the one, Miriam, that you just mentioned?
Google, Dual.
Dual? What was the other one?
Oh God, I just said it.
I know.
I just said it. I said Dual. I
In
said
your presentation, you spoke of Remo and WebEx, which I'm going to investigate. I don't know much about either of them.
So the other thing is I just Googled security on Dual Google, and it says because of its two-step verification, it tends to be a more secure platform. Kind of applies because they do have to have that two-step verification.
Yeah, and so Google Hangouts as well is saying that it's very secure.
Yeah.
The conversations are encrypted, so you can't. So on Zoom, let's say you and I are having a private conversation on the chat. When we go to download this video, that chat comes with it. So even if you and I are having a private conversation, the chat can be downloaded to the person that's recording it to read our private conversation as well.
I said
That's
Team
another
Viewer,
issue,
by the
I
way.
think. What's that?
Sorry, I said Team Viewer.
Team Viewer, yes. So Team Viewer and Google Hangouts are the ones that I know that like a lot of the teachers are using. Especially like, well, up in York Region anyway. I don't know about the TDSB, but York Region, I was talking to a few teachers about that, and they use the Viewer and Google Hangouts. And they feel like it's secure.
Would you be able to share some of your business information with me? I have 4 tiny campers at my house that I need to get rid of for about an hour a day.
I think that's for Todd.
Todd, you're going to be a save. Oh, there we go.
I'm not currently running a program because we decided to take a pause due to COVID. We decided to cancel our summer camp program, but I'm looking at putting together workshops for the fall and trying to continue 2 shows that were in rehearsal. But
Okay.
we do have great concern about security. The other security concern that I have from the point of view of a children's theater company is the ability of a participant in a classroom event that can record it without my permission. So if I'm asking you to do a monologue and somebody else in the classroom records you, and if there was something rude or embarrassing or something like that, and then it gets spread virtually, it's more virtual bullying that we have to deal with. And so I'd like to be able to stop other people from recording it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, what people can do, and don't obviously tell them this, but if they have a phone in front of them and they're recording the screen at the same time, you can't protect from that. So that's one small issue with this kind of stuff. But the platforms themselves, as the organizer, you can turn that off. So you can actually turn it off so nobody can come in just as a speaker as well. So you can turn it off, all the videos off, everybody muted when they come in. And the only issue that I've seen is this little freaking device right here. Yeah. So all platforms will allow you to turn all of that off, including Remo, Cisco WebEx, all of them. So WebEx, a lot of large organizations have used that for years. Before, you know, Zoom kind of came into place, that's how people used to communicate if they wanted to do some sort of conferencing through video. Yeah, I don't think it's related to an Outlook, but I know a lot of large corporations have used it based on like the security and ease of use and things like that, and the IT support.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Wow.
So guys,
questions?
any other questions? Amazing. Well, thank you again for attending our webinar. And as Holly mentioned, we're always available if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out to us. And I will be sending out the presentation within the next hour or so. Have yourself a good day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.